So we were doing the Rostos model. 5 stages. कौन से 5 stages? Drive to maturity and age of high mass consumption. So कैसे आंसर लिखना है इसमें? You should always remember Rostow. कोई भी theory जब हम पढ़ेंगे, you should always remember the basics, and कभी-कभी they ask you the application, present application of these models, whether they are applicable even in the recent times. Secondly, you should write about the socio-economic conditions and the political conditions also. थोड़ा आंसर में you should talk about the political conditions, because not Indian books, but if you look at the videos on the YouTube, Indian authors के नहीं, if you look at the videos on the YouTube of some foreign universities, they take into account both the conditions. Right? They are more of an economic conditions and socio-political theories है. ये जितने भी theorists हैं, they all have most of them have got Nobel prizes. Fine, Paul Krugman हो, या Rostow हो, या Gunnar Myrdal हो, they all have got some or the other Nobel prizes. And these are the searches, or these are the theories to make sure that the country undertakes a proper economic development. So we were saying there are 5, that is the traditional society, which is a stagnant society, and there is a proper social stratification because it is based on the agriculture. Then as the society goes forward, agriculture reduces, people start migrating from agriculture to the non-agricultural sector, and therefore the society may industrial and scientific development starts, which we call this as a preconditions to take off. Preconditions to take off properly raha, if they occur in a proper manner, then there will be a take-off stage in which foreign direct investment, external sector boom, trade boom, or value addition, ये सब होगा in the economy. But for that, Rostow says there are 2 or 3 necessary conditions for economy to take off. Understanding? He says ki XYZ things should happen for the economy to take off, and therefore look in our introduction, there is a word descriptive and prescriptive, predictive also. Predictive, क्यों? Because he predicts कि अगर ऐसे ऐसे रहा तो there will be take off. It is descriptive because it is describing the conditions, right? So कल question कैसे आ सकता है? The question आ सकता है that Rostow, it will come even only in the short note, fine? Rostow theory is both historical as well as future oriented. Examine. It is both historical as well as future oriented. Why historical? Because he has given the examples of how the countries have gone through these stages, and he has given the example US was in which takeoff stage in which year, US was in this stage in which year, Switzerland was in XYZ stages in which year. And he has shown that how the conditions have, how the economies have increased. Why it is future oriented? Because वो कहता है कि if you have XYZ conditions like US, XYZ conditions like Switzerland, then each and every country will go in the same manner, fine? So he has taken the examples of the countries which have shown such direction. इसका best example is Rostow का, the country which has benefited a lot from Rostow, geography students, is Singapore. Singapore model is the perfect example of Rostow ka model. They have followed Rostow, Singapore. And Singapore today lies in the age of high mass consumption wala state. Fine? Have we taken the help of Rostow? No, we have not generally taken the help of Rostow, but we have taken the help of, after Rostow, we will go to the next theory, that is Perox and Bodiville. We have taken the help of Perox and Bodiville. That is the growth pole, growth center. Perox, economist, Bodiville, geographer, applied Perox model in geography, and therefore the model is known as Perox and Bodiville model. Uske baad Gunnar Myrdal, Paul Krugman, you must have heard about the name Paul Krugman, 2004 Nobel Prize in Economics, जिसका book है New Economic Geography. Fine. Have you heard the word forward and backward linkages? हम अपने topic में ही है agriculture, forward and backward linkages in agriculture GS में. What do you mean by forward linkages? any industry has forward linkages, any industry has backward linkages. इसका मतलब क्या है? What is a forward linkage? Any industry, if it helps the development of next sector, if the secondary sector helps in the development of the tertiary sector, it is known as forward linkage. If the secondary sector helps in the development of primary sector, it is known as a backward linkage. Understanding? So her industry ka there are forward and backward linkages. This is what is the concept of Paul Krugman, backwash and spread effect. Backwash effect, centralization tendency. Spread effect is the decentralization tendency. Fine? Diagrams ज़्यादा नहीं है obviously इसमें. This is the only diagram which is there. We will see how to we make a diagram in थोड़ा diagram जो creative होगा. We will have to make a world map and world map किसी books में नहीं मिलेगा, आपको खुद बनाना पड़ेगा. You will make a world map and you will show 1836 USA, that is it is in the takeoff stage. 1850s, fine. 1960s China, India, fine. तो ये जो diagram है थोड़ा it shows about the application that you know, because sometimes the question will come very applied manner. And देखो बहुत आसान topic है. You have seen the paper yesterday. Section 1 is technical, section 2 is section B. Section B, why I keep on referring section B, because till before 2013 का syllabus change, there was proper written chapter 1 to 5 section A, chapter 6 to 10 section B, that is perspective से section B. And how to score good marks in geography optional, अपने optional में, if you want to get really successful in this geography optional, you should have 3 strong areas from section A, 2 to 3 strong areas from section B. So 10 chapter में से सिर्फ 6 chapter पढ़ने होते हैं, 50% ही syllabus करना होता है, ऐसा नहीं कि पूरा syllabus करके जाना होता है. Fine? Do the 50% of the syllabus very strong and rest of the things ऊपर से, कि वो सिर्फ 10 mark में question number 1 and 5, 10 markers, if anything comes you should know how to write it properly. What did the examiner say? Your 2 to 3 questions should be good. Fine? If we have seen in the video. So ऐसा नहीं कि पूरा syllabus करते बैठे, no need of that. 5 chapter को focus करो in paper 1, 5 chapter को focus करो in paper 2. This 5 chapters should be based on your interest in the exam plus frequency जिसमें पूछा है. नहीं तो पता चला regional development and planning को focus किया, which comes once in 5 years. It is not going to give you any benefit. This 5 chapters should be which comes frequently in the exam. Fine? So have you drawn this diagram? Fine? Theory. Rostov give the general socio-economic and political conditions. And said that development is a long-term process. Development is a long-term process. Which is an outcome of complex interaction between economic, political and social variables. and social variables. इकोनॉमिक, पॉलिटिकल एंड सोशल वेरिएबल्स मीन्स कि कोई भी चीज़ अगर डेवलप करनी है तो इनका इंटरेक्शन इज कंटिन्यूसली शुड हैपन. फाइन. सो देयरफॉर वी से डेवलपमेंट इज अ complex process which depends upon interaction between the economic system, political system and the social system. For example, what has been given in the real estate sector? Has the central government given anything for the real estate sector? 25,000 crores. किसको दिया है? Stimulus, fiscal stimulus to the real estate sector. अब critical thinking क्या होता है? You should question whether it is, you should think, रटते मत बैठोगे, it has been given to the real estate sector. This is not the demand of GS today. You should be able to critically analyze, is this a right policy or wrong policy? 25,000 crores have been given to the people or to builders? To the builders, fine, which are already rich, fine. So there are two aspects. There is a real estate sector में मंदी या पूरे इंडिया में there is a slowdown because demand is less, not because supply is less, because the demand is less. Why demand is less? Because we don't have money or we don't trust the financial systems and therefore financial system does not have money. That is why, like the people don't have money and therefore and financial system does not have money. Government is bringing the real estate sector में a huge amount of stimulus. Why? Because there is less demand. Why there is less demand? Because real estate sector in India is hyper inflated. अभी तक prices are not the reality. So लोगों को लगता है इतना ज़्यादा महंगा घर क्यों लेना है, right? And government आता है, totally wrong policies. Government आता है और builders को पैसे देता है. क्या करेगा? Supply और बढ़ेगा. Demand will remain there itself. That is why Nirmala Sitharaman is criticized as a finance minister. Fine? Not as a defense minister. Totally wrong. Means I am a builder, I am supplying the flats, there are so many flats here and you are the customers. Fine? Customers बढ़ाने की ज़रूरत थी या flats या कुर्सियाँ बढ़ाने की ज़रूरत थी? Customers. So 42% of the houses in Gurgaon and Delhi are unsold in the new projects. I agree with you. You are saying कि supply. Projects, there are so many unsold projects in Delhi NCR, in Pune, in Bombay. So problem is not of supply, problem is of demand.
The thing is that whatever the unsold projects are there, like in Hyderabad also there are some projects, and builder is not like they have stalling that possession we will give it next like 1 year after 1 year. And
Yes.
And like
Why? Because real estate sector works on running capital. Running capital will come. Running capital will come if there is booking. If there is booking, there will be running capital. But people are not.
building is already booked,
So
and they are not building like manufacturing like constructing them.
whole building is already booked, and they are not constructing because then they are not using the finances properly.
They said that they don't have money.
They are saying that they don't have money. So already उनके पास personal wealth बहुत ज़्यादा है. They will not put personal wealth. तो ये stimulus जा रहा है personal wealth को ही increase करने में. ये stimulus जाना चाहिए था public में. Demand बढ़ाना चाहिए था, not the supply. Supply is already there.
इस सेक्टर में सर आप डिमांड तो वैसे भी नहीं बढ़ा सकते नॉर्मल कंडीशन.
नहीं, demand बढ़ा सकते हैं. For example, if I am staying in Delhi on rent, why I am staying on rent? Because जो housing projects अच्छे लग रहे हैं, they are above 1.5 CR. Right? यही 85-90 lakhs में अच्छा project लेके आओ, डिमांड बढ़ेगी. 85-90 lakhs में है अच्छे projects in Noida, not in Noida, in Delhi. Right? That is what I am saying. इसलिए डिमांड नहीं है. So people think they will stay on the rent on entire life. Even if I pay 50,000 as a rent per year, it is 6 lakhs per year. If I stay in Delhi for 20 years, I am paying just 1.2 crore as a rent, fine. 6 lakhs, 61.2 crore. तो वो जो 1.2 करोड़ में अब मैं घर लूँगा, वो पैसे तो मेरे चले गए. वो I can use that to buy houses in the tier 2 cities, give them on the rent and finance here. Yes. No, I'll share with you an article of day before yesterday, a survey of in National Housing Bank. That is why I'm saying this. That National Housing Bank has done a survey and they are saying supply is not less, demand is less. ये मैं गवर्नमेंट की ही बात कर रहा हूँ, गवर्नमेंट के ही सर्वे की बात कर रहा हूँ. Fine. So this is what is meant by, suppose, chalo, this is my perspective that there is a demand side problem, yes, supply side. We should not look at this. But the problem is, according to Rostow, we society, political system, government and economy, businessman, in तीनों का interaction होना चाहिए, then only the country will go in the stages. This is missing in the countries, and वो ये कहेगा by the disciplined approach, why I took that example, by the disciplined approach, make sure that there are communication lines established between the three pillars of the society, and then the policy should be formulated accordingly so that the country will rise through. Fine. वो forget कि demand side है, supply side है. We are a society, there are politicians and there are businessmen. In तीनों के बीच there has to be a common communication and common interplay. They should question each other's policies. They should take each other's views while formulating the policies, and then country will grow. Understanding? Next point. In explaining the stages, Rostow talks about impulses, drivers, as well as the role of economic sectors in different stages. Role of impulses, drivers, as well as the role of economic sectors in different stages. Economic sectors in different stages. Stage 1, traditional society. Traditional society. अब हर society में we are going to write an answer by dividing it into two parameters: economic systems, socio-political system. Fine. What are the economic systems? What are the socio-political systems of each society? Easy है. What will be the economic system in the traditional society? Can I say artificial intelligence or agriculture? Agriculture. So economic system, point 1, take only in points. Agriculturally dominated society. Agriculturally dominated. Society. Fine. Even USA is an agriculturally dominated society. Even Italy is an agriculturally dominated society. So how is this different from India or Africa? Because यहाँ का agriculture is subsistence and primitive agriculture. Fine. Agriculture dominated society, comma, primitive, labor intensive agriculture, labor intensive agriculture, second point, privatization या private enterprise, privatization या private enterprise. is lacking in agriculture, and therefore in irrigation, technology, insurance, government plays an important role. Government plays an important role. Understand, irrigation India mein, is it given by private companies? No. Insurance, not your health insurance. It is talking about the agriculture insurance. कौन करता है India में? Government. Who does it in USA? Private companies. Understanding? So, ये है conditions of the traditional society. Why India में government is doing it? Why not private companies? Tell me. That private companies will come where there is less risk. Fine. Less risk will come when more technology is used in the agriculture, in the cropping pattern, in predicting the output, in proper scientific manner is done कि बारिश बिरिश का पानी खराब ना करे. इस साल इतनी अच्छी फसल है पूरे इंडिया में. There is so good outcrop of the crop, but you see food inflation is very high. Why? Because most of the crops have been destroyed by retreating monsoon. Why they have been destroyed by retreating monsoon? Because the farmers don't have godowns. The crop was lying in the open field, and when the monsoon का rain came, पूरा crop सड़ गया. Right? Yesterday I went to a normal market, weekly market, घर की सब्जियां खरीदने के लिए. नींबू 40 रुपए पाव, means 250 rupees, 250 grams for lemon. आंवला 35 rupees है. ये है when, and गाजर, when this is a proper season of gajar, 40 rupees for 250 grams. Last year at this same time gajar was 30 rupees a kg. ये है food inflation. Getting it? And if this is the problem in my area, जहाँ पे मंडी है बड़ी, the rate will be obviously 10 rupees higher in Rajendra Nagar. Fine? So ये क्यों है? And because to avoid this, कौन कर रहा है? State. It actually state, जहाँ जहाँ state fails, वहाँ पे private sector does not come. Private sector will come only if the state provides the proper necessary conditions, state has done its responsibility properly, and फिर धीरे से state, मतलब government, state means government here, not state government, it can be any government. Government withdraws and private sector takes उसका role. Fine? Example, airlines. Air India चलाई properly develop हुआ, फिर Air India धीरे धीरे हट रहा है, Indigo, Vistara, etc. are taking the role. Getting it? Next point. People are satisfied with traditional way of living. People are satisfied with the traditional way of living and therefore take little efforts for innovation and development. Innovation and development. You are satisfied, जो कुछ हो रहा है. There is no inducement for innovation and development. कास्ट सिस्टम में खुश हो, इसमें खुश हो. Fine, that is what. इसीलिए गुनार मैड्रल ने कहा था, economist, he had given a very famous line, a man is poor because he is poor. Understanding? A man is poor because he is poor. He is in poor health, he is in poor thinking, he does not have to, he is in poor attitude, इसलिए वो poor रहता है. He is not poor because of conditions, he is poor because of himself only. Next point. Low technology and labor intensive processes keeps wages low, keeps the wages low. And lastly, output is modest and therefore economic growth is slow. Output is modest and therefore economic growth is slow. Output is modest and therefore social and economic growth is slow. Social and political system. What will be the difference between economic system? Economic system talks about agriculture, etc. एक point याद रखना, अगर industries है इसमें, तो it will be handicraft industries. Fine? In the economic system, industries in the form of handicraft industries. If the question comes for 20 marker, there are two ways they ask you the question. Write a short note on stage 5. तो इतना डिटेल में लिखो. If the question comes on entire Rostow model, just make a diagram, economic system stage 1 में and key pointers, socio and political system and key pointers. Or you can write an answer this way, stage 1 after the diagram, make a box, economic systems, socio-political system. Main here, agriculture, handicraft industry, low wages, low economic growth, social system, social hierarchy है, so ये therefore caste है, in such elites है and therefore feudal mindset है, and the rate of growth GDP is less than 5%. That is what is the socio-political system. Rate of growth comes in socio-political system, generally not in economic system. Economic system is means of production. Which was there in India in 1950s and जिसको criticize किया जाता था as Hindu rate of growth, right? Hindu rate of growth कि India will never go beyond 5%. You know the concept of Hindu rate of growth? So first you take socio-political system, widespread social backwardness, comma, hierarchical social structure, comma, low vertical mobility of the labor, What is the meaning of this word, low vertical mobility of the labor? Skill enhancement, promotion, या in Indian terms, a shoemaker का बेटा shoemaker ही बनेगा. Fine, that is what, he cannot become a something else because there is low vertical mobility. And yes, traditional society में low vertical mobility of the labor, comma, power and capital only in the hands of few people. Power and capital only in the hands of few people. Power in the hands of political class and bureaucracy. And capital, matlab money, in the hands of few families. Just look at India in 1950s. यही था situation, fine, and therefore it was criticized कि the Hindu rate of growth refers to low annual growth of the Indian economy before 1991 era, before the liberalization era, which was stagnated to around 3.5%. Fine. बाकी के countries बहुत fast grow कर रहे थे, but India with the same socio-economic conditions was not growing, and therefore we used to call this as a Hindu rate of growth, which was given by Vikas Mishra. Actually, he was criticizing the license Raj or socialist mindset. So bracket में लिखना example era of Hindu rate of growth. Around 1950s. And the last point, the rate of investment is less than kitna 5% of GNP. Is less than 5% of GNP. What is the difference between GNP and GDP? GDP is within the country, fine, and GNP is even Indians who are working outside, whatever they are contributing to this country. GNP में Indians who are working outside will contribute, and the non-Indians who are working in India, उनका income minus किया जाएगा. That is what is the GNP. Therefore, gross national product. Fine. So, can you say, see, कैसे space comes in economics? Locational analysis ही है ये. This is what is the space in economics. Fine. So, GDP in a bounded space and GNP outside the bounded space. Fine. So, GDP and GNP wala concept. What is NNP then? Net minus liabilities. Fine. Net is always minus liabilities. I started my teaching career teaching two subjects, economy and geography. I used to teach, there is a one YouTube पे video बहुत पहले का geography का, शुभ्रा रंजन का ही, उसमें you can see old students of mine have commented, sir you teach economy also superbly. Right? Fortunately we got Vivek sir, otherwise there was a crisis in Shubhra Ranjan who was going to teach economy. So because we tried two teachers but बिल्कुल अच्छा नहीं था. So lastly ma'am said तुम ही ले लो, but I didn't want to overburden myself. Environment, geography, optional, essay, उसके बाद economics भी, मतलब right. So thankfully Vivek sir came and आपका भी economics clear हो जाएगा because your optional is this, fine. And दूसरा एक होता है reading, because economics GDP GNP तो जीएस का ही हम पढ़ा सकते हैं. ऑब्वियसली विवेक सर जैसी मास्टरी नहीं हो सकती बिकॉज ही इज कोर इकोनॉमिक्स. मैं तो सिर्फ जीएस में ऊपर ऊपर से छोटे कंसेप्ट्स बता सकता हूँ. सो स्टेज 2, इट इज अ ट्रांजिट प्री कंडीशंस टू टेक ऑफ. It is a transitory phase. It is a transitory phase. Which according to Rostow is both, descriptive, and prescriptive. Descriptive and prescriptive. Descriptive because it describes the conditions. Prescriptive because यही conditions which you have described are prescription for developing countries. These are the conditions of the developed countries who have achieved the conditions. And हमारे लिए this is like a prescription. You do this, and you will go to that next stage. Fine. So they are historically found in the countries which have achieved the economic growth, and hence descriptive, while they serve as essential conditions for achieving the takeoff stage. They serve as an essential conditions for achieving the takeoff stage. किनके लिए? To developing countries. And with each and every stage, just think whether it is present in India or not. So is the stage 1 present in India today? Or we can say बहुत कम जगह. Most of the things, country has moved from the stage 1. At least we are no longer just a traditional society, except for some few pockets. Fine. We are going back to the traditional society, maybe that is a different thing. We are slipping back. But India has gone out of the stage. And tell me whether these conditions are there or not. I will make you write economic conditions. Shift towards production of cash crops. In India, there is a more shift towards the production of cash crops. Fine. Second, sharp rise of entrepreneurial class. Or entrepreneurs, yeah, business class. But this is the right word. Business can be anyone. Entrepreneurs are startups. Fine? Entrepreneur class, which have the ability to take risk. Because of changed attitude. Roman Saini, can we say? Shift hai total. IAS, top rank, district posting, good state, and he leaves IAS to start a company, an academy. Fine. Baiju, किसी ने सोचा था Baiju? 2012 Baiju used to come here and used to teach in Ramakrishna Ashram Marg. Why? Because this area was too costly for him. 2019 भाई जो डिसाइडेड कि सिविल सर्विसेज में पैसा अब नहीं है क्योंकि बहुत ज़्यादा कंपटीशन है. वेयर इज द कंपटीशन? नॉट देयर. स्कूल कोचिंग. Right? He goes into the area which is unexplored, school, and today it is he sponsors the Indian cricket team. Getting it? This is what is known as entrepreneurial class. They have the ability to take the risk because of their attitude has changed, and because of this their risk taking ability. आगे का statement is therefore new investments take place, especially in मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्रीज. स्टेज 2 में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्रीज. मैं एग्जाम्पल इंडियंस का नहीं दे सकता मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्रीज का. मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्रीज एग्जाम्पल इसका केंट. अ पर्सन हु यूज्ड टू roam on scooter repairing the aquaguard ka machines decides he has enough money. Now he will become industrialist. He manufactures a purifier and starts selling it on the scooter at each and every house. वो suddenly इतना successful हो जाता है कि it becomes a Kent RO. Fine. So this is what is the entrepreneur ka class. Next. Therefore there is a shift from agricultural to industrial economy. Shift from agriculture to industrial economy. With rate of investments increasing 5% of GNP. Rate of investments increasing 5% of GNP. Of GNP, gross national product. Getting it? Next point. थोड़ी देर बाद में. Next point. Now they require, you see, they require money. So money कहाँ से आएगा? Money will come from banks. So banking system emerges. Next point. Banking system emerges. To mobilize savings and facilitate. Mobilize savings means savings को रखने के लिए, and facilitate capital formation. Understanding? I am giving you, suppose you have 1 crore rupees and you have 2 options to buy gold, physical gold या gold bonds. क्या लोगे आप? Gold bonds, physical gold. Anyone with gold bonds? Gold bonds. You? Nothing. फाइन. सिर्फ बस मेरे को एक क्वेश्चन, मैं इसका आंसर बाद में दूंगा. वाई गोल्ड बॉन्ड्स? बॉन्ड्स खरीदने के बाद मार्केट प्राइसेस 2.5%. So gold bonds पे you will get more market price. That is, you will get interest also. Physical gold रखोगे कहाँ पे? That will be the problem. Fine. इतना बड़ा फिजिकल गोल्ड फिर वो चोरी हो गया तो गया. So gold bond plus you will get interest. It is just a paper. किससे खरीदोगे gold bond? From some bank. When you require gold, when money does not work. When money does not work, banks also fall. So bond किसको बेचोगे? When is the gold का price more? When you don't have, you can say faith in the banking system, yeah, in the money. You have taken the gold bond and you have taken gold bond from Reliance, you have given your money to Ambani, you are having 1 crore का gold bond and tomorrow Reliance ही डूब गई, तो क्या करोगे इस gold bond का? Right? So this is what is the problem of this stage 2. ये सब stage 2 के problems हैं. The system is not properly well developed. There is always a concept of up and down because a transition wala phase hai. And as a result of this, trade will start emerging. As the trade will start emerging in this, यहाँ concept आएगा of nationalism and nationalist economy, Swadeshi. Getting it? Stage 2 में. So the next point. As both internal and external trade expands, the concept of national economy, and economic nationalism spreads very fast. Economic nationalism spreads very fast. Economic nationalism, Swadeshi, ग्राहक मंच एक्सेट्रा, ये जो है, so ये सब conditions है इंडिया में right now. So in which stage India is? Stage 2, right? Preconditions to take off. Next point, there is a substantial built up or there is a substantial increase in social overhead capital, जिसका मतलब है infrastructure. Social overhead capital means infrastructure. Social overhead capital with government focusing on communication and transport. There is a substantial increase of the social overhead capital with the government focusing on transport and communication, comma, new technology in the mining activities, and last, that is, and enlarging commercial activities, Next point, application of science and technology improves agriculture productivity, which meets the requirements of both population and industry. Which meets the requirement of both population and industry. Political system, social and political system. what will be the role of government? Centralized role, या private sector will be having a centralized role? Why? Government will improve infrastructure, ये right word होगा, या government will plan and give directions to the private sector where how the improvements will keep on occurring. So यहाँ पे भी government will have a centralized role. Yes. तब बाद में प्राइवेट सेक्टर आएगा. सो प्राइवेट सेक्टर आना शुरू करेगा टेक ऑफ स्टेज में, फाइन. बट यहाँ पे आपको प्राइवेटाइजेशन में फेथ बढ़ना शुरू हो जाएगा इन दिस रीजन. So economic, socio-political conditions, government plays a centralized role for economic development and planning. Government plays a centralized role for economic development and planning. For economic development and planning. And helps in redistribution of income as well as resources. Helps in redistribution of income as well as resources. Redistribution of income as well as resources. New, second point, new socio-political elite. New socio-political elite emerges, which help in bringing structural changes in society, leading to improved work culture, and faith in private enterprise, leading to improved work culture and faith in private enterprise. टेल मी इसका एग्जाम्पल क्या है. न्यू सोशो पॉलिटिकल एलिट इमर्जेस, क्योंकि इन सिर्फ सोचते जाओ, बिकॉज मैं इसके बाद आपको एक क्वेश्चन देने वाला हूँ लिखने के लिए. सो कैन आई से द कमिंग अप ऑफ न्यू बिजनेस पीपल सच एज नारायण मूर्ति, not Tata Birla. Tata Birla were the original families which were political elites, social elites in the stage one also, before independence. Narayan Murthy और अदानी या अंबानी या अजीम प्रेम जी, ये है नए सोशो पॉलिटिकल एलिट्स, एंड दे विल चेंज द परसेप्शंस ऑफ कल्चर, सोसाइटी. दे विल राइज फ्रॉम एनी सेक्शंस ऑफ द सोसाइटी. हु इज द चीफ ऑफ कॉग्निजेंट? Shiv Nadar belongs to HCL. So Shiv Nadar is an example. कहाँ से निकला? एक छोटे गांव में से, जहाँ पे कहाँ पे पढ़ा? जिला परिषद के स्कूल में. क्या है आज? सिलिकॉन वैली का बॉस है, मतलब अपनी एक बड़ी कंपनी का बॉस है. D'Souza is also the same. So D'Souza, Shiv Nadar, when they land to the villages, आज भी उस विलेज में कुछ नहीं है. For example, Shiv Nadar का village for the first time saw what is helicopter when he went there to meet his old friends and parents. This is the new socio-political elite. और अगर example लिखना है, you can write an example of APJ Abdul Kalam. You can write an example of Modi. वो नहीं है घरानेशाही से ऊपर आए हैं, कहीं नीचे से, fine. But Modi political persons के नाम निकाल दो. Keep the examples of business people. Stage 1, Gandhi family. Only Gandhi family will rule. Stage 2, anybody can, and they will change the challenge the culture, etc. That is what is the stage 2. Chai wala becomes the PM of India. That is the stage 2. And they will bring the structural changes in the society. They will challenge the society. And you see how the society is going towards private. With the rise of privatization, materialism is emerging in the society. Right? And the highest level of materialism will be the age of mass consumption. Getting it? Stage 3, take off. अंडरस्टैंडिंग क्यों अभी तक यूपीएससी ने सेपरेट क्वेश्चन पूछा है, राइट अ शॉर्ट नोट ऑन प्री कंडीशंस टू टेक ऑफ, इसी पे आया है, बिकॉज दिस इज द बिगेस्ट स्टेज एंड दिस इज द मोस्ट क्रूशियल स्टेज. इफ द फाउंडेशंस आर नॉट लेड हियर देन टेक ऑफ कभी होगा नहीं, विच हैपेंड अनफॉर्चुनेटली इन द केस ऑफ इंडिया. Some say India has already taken off, some say India is in the stage 2, but you will be able to judge whether India is in the stage 2 or 3 after writing takeoff stage. If the preconditions to take off, if the preconditions to take off gets fully established, gets fully established, then a stage known as great watershed, a stage known as great watershed, great watershed in the economic terms, occurs known as a takeoff stage. Next point, मतलब मेरे को आपको सिर्फ इतना याद बताना था कि this is also known as a great watershed. बाकी इस क्वेश्चन को जैसे फ्रेम करना है करो. This is also known as a great watershed in economy. Stimulus is provided either by industrial revolution or social revolution. Industrial revolution or social revolution. Next point. It is a period of great innovation. It is a period of great innovation, comma, highly favorable business environment, which causes sharp acceleration in economy. Because there is a sharp acceleration of economy. In relatively short span of time. So your conclusion whether India is in the takeoff stage. See, हम एक नॉर्मल आर्टिकल पढ़ रहे हैं, उसमें भी प्रॉपरली लिखा है रेट ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट शुड बी 10%. दैट विल बी द फर्स्ट इकोनॉमिक कंडीशन हियर, राइट. सो इन द बिगिनिंग ऑफ आई विल शेयर विथ यू दिस आर्टिकल कि विच स्टेज इंडिया इज. प्रॉपर प्लानिंग से ड्यूरिंग 1960s 70s कैसे है. It appears that India has actually entered the premature takeoff stage. So that is the controversy, whether India is in the early part of the takeoff stage or late part of the preconditions to take off. That is the controversy. Fine. Next point. This stage lasts for around 2 decades. This stage lasts for around 2 decades. Stage lasts for around 2 decades. Lasts for around 2 decades. Economic system. Economic system. First, investment about 10% of GNP. Investment about 10% of GNP. And few leading sectors. And few leading sectors showing very high growth rate. Very high growth rate. Showing very high growth rate. Showing very high growth rate. Second, example in India, यहाँ पे क्या है से service sector. Fine. So, second, this leading sectors provide the backbone, which drives other sectors of the economy, which drives the other sectors of the economy. Other sectors of the economy. Example in India, service sector. Example in India, service sector. Has been the main engine of the growth. Service sector has been the main engine of the growth. Which has increased, which has helped, or which has increased the primary as well as agricultural sector. Primary as well as manufacturing sector. Manufacturing sector. Primary as well as manufacturing sector. Next point, don't draw this diagram abhi, I am just going to change this diagram. Next point. The growth of certain sectors, depends upon depends upon one, point number one, how technological innovation occurs. How technological innovation occurs. Second, to what extent state or government plays the role of, to what extent state or government plays the role of enabler, and third, how profits and capital is available in the sector. How profits and capital is available in the sector. How profits and capital is available in the sector. Example in India. Example in India. The growth of trade and commerce. The growth of trade and commerce. Has helped the banking sector, The growth of banking sector, has helped in developing automobile, engineering goods, comma, real estate, as well as insurance sector, which can be shown with a diagram below, with the help of a diagram below, and फिर ये linkages होते रहेंगे. एक कोई तो लीडिंग सेक्टर होना चाहिए. चाइना chose manufacturing sector as a leading sector, we chose service sector as a leading sector because of the socio-political conditions of the countries were different. Fine. Properly नहीं developed. इसलिए तो चाइना सॉफ्टवेयर का पावर नहीं है, चाइना इज हार्डवेयर का पावर, इंडिया इज अ सॉफ्टवेयर का पावर. आईटी की पावर है, हम प्रोसेसिंग की पावर है. वेस्टर्न यूरोप, यूएसए दोनों. जापान फिशिंग, राइस कल्टीवेशन. mining, cash crops, automobiles, engineering goods. देखो इसका बेस्ट एग्जांपल है Hyundai. Hyundai Motors, which is a car manufacturing company, but actually Hyundai is a shipbuilding company. Shipbuilding company इतना प्रॉफिट हुआ कि एक्सेस कैपिटल उन्होंने डाला गाड़ियाँ बनाने में, सो बन गई Hyundai Motors. वहाँ से प्रॉफिट हुआ तो उन्होंने थोड़ी लग्जरी गाड़ियाँ बनाना शुरू कर दी, उन्होंने खोला Kia Motors. फाइन, सो इसका बेस्ट एग्जांपल है. सेकंड एग्जांपल है IFB, which brought so good washing machines and they got so much profit that they now have gone into fish processing industry, meat processing. IFB जिसकी washing machines है उनका main business now is fish processing. Engine making, yes, उससे फिर luxury cars में. कौन? फाइन, केस स्टडी एक कोई भी, but this can be a case study itself, what we have written. Case study based approach, you have to keep it. I am not going to give any examples, थोड़ा ऊपर से बताऊंगा, because what is the biggest problem that happens? अभी तो होगा नहीं because my batch size is small. फिर जब जैसे batch size बहुत बड़ी हो जाती है तो क्या problem होता है is if I give you example, वही I will tell you an example, I'll make you write. I'll ask you to develop that examples in the exam, खुद के उस हिसाब से. But stress में जो मैंने लिखा है वही examples आप लिखते हो. So 400-500 लोग वही examples लिखते हैं and marks नहीं मिलते. Understanding? That is why जो बहुत famous teachers है उनके examples कभी quote नहीं करने चाहिए, because everyone will be writing those examples and you won't be getting marks. Nobody likes UPSC का students coming from factories. Factories ही है ये, fine, सब एक जैसा आंसर लिखने की तरीका एक जैसे, so nobody likes that. UPSC does not like that. So I had told this to one of my students जो इसको इस साल फिर से 270 मार्क्स आए ज्योग्राफी में. He already has 116th rank. He is in IRS because उसकी हाइट छोटी है and he is giving from last 3 years to get into IAS. He cannot become IPS because उसकी हाइट छोटी है, otherwise 116 पे IPS मिलता. So this year he had done very properly and as soon as he came out he called me and he told कि इस साल फिर से मैं 270 पे अटकूँगा. I said why? Because he said वही जो गलती आपने मना किया था वो किया नहीं. Means in जल्दी में मैंने वही मैडम के examples लिखे because he had done his coaching long back from Neetu Singh. So मैडम के examples लिखे and 268 उसके marks आए इस साल. Getting it? So otherwise this was his best attempt. So I said चलो तेरे नसीब में IRS है, भी खुश उसमें IRS में ही रहना, खुश. Don't give more attempts because second attempt में IRS बन गया था, third attempt, fourth attempt, fifth attempt. अब एक बचा हुआ 6th attempt है. अब UPSC उसको इंटरव्यू बोर्ड वाले मारेंगे उसको because कब से वो attempt दे रहा है and he is already in a good service. So obviously उसको इंटरव्यू में इस साल मिले only 132 marks out of 250 because and he is not a student जिसको 132 मिलेंगे. This shows that UPSC does not want him now to give the exams. So एक बार चांस मिलता है नसीब का. Understanding? तो एग्जाम्पल्स इसलिए आई एम नॉट मेकिंग यू राइट द एग्जाम्पल्स है. इसमें केस स्टडी एग्जाम्पल बेस्ड अप्रोच रखो इन पेपर 2. पेपर 1 में एग्जाम्पल्स वही है. सो इन सेक्शन 1 एग्जाम्पल्स आर देम ओनली. एंटीसेटिक इज एंटीसेटिक, everyone will write that, but यहाँ पे show some interest, develop some through lateral thinking and examples and case studies. गेटिंग इट? दैट इज वाई पॉल साइंस में ऐसे होता नहीं, क्योंकि मैम बहुत एग्जाम्पल्स देती है. अंडरस्टैंडिंग? पॉलिटी में भी मैम इतना एग्जाम्पल्स देगी कि वो रिपीट नहीं होंगे. सो दैट इज वाई मैम गिव्स सो मेनी एग्जाम्पल्स. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. Socio-political system. Socio-political system. Rostow prescribed that socio-political system should be such that it will be able to exploit the impulsive growth and will be able to sustain the growth for long time. Able to sustain the growth for long time. Therefore, this requires more focus on health and nutrition. Can you understand why Poshan Abhiyan? More focus on health and nutrition. Second, institutional capacities, institutions which are transparent, and able to understand or able to communicate with civil society organizations. We are doing only geographical aspect, but civil society organizations will start developing in stage 2. They will become very mature in stage 3. Civil society organizations, NGOs, etc. Because सब कुछ काम गवर्नमेंट नहीं कर सकती अकेले. Third, change in the mindset of the people. Change in the mindset of the people. Which start looking towards government. As service provider. When you look towards government as my bap, you don't question the government. When you look towards government as a service provider, you are no longer a citizen, you are a customer. And when you are a customer, you will be asking for accountability. Understanding? आप जब कलेक्टर के पास जाते हो आप अकाउंटेबिलिटी नहीं बोल सकते, बट अगर आप रिलायंस के पास जाते हो तो आप, या एयरटेल के पास जाओगे तो आप अकाउंटेबिलिटी मांगोगे. क्यों? बिकॉज the government is now a service provider, private sector is a service provider. So you are paying taxes for it, and if you are paying taxes for the service, you are paying fees for the service, you should get. Understanding? Next, development of infrastructure through PPP. What? सर्विस प्रोवाइडर, ये कंसेप्ट अलग है, नॉट सर्विस सेक्टर. यस. किसमें? गवर्नमेंट में नहीं है ऐसा. यू आर पेइंग टैक्सेस. कैन यू आस्क द गवर्नमेंट कि मेरा टैक्सेस कैसे यूज किए बताओ? डायरेक्टली नहीं पूछ सकते. फाइन. गवर्नमेंट इज प्रोवाइडिंग यू सब्सिडाइज रेट ऑफ ट्रेन ट्रैवल, तो कुछ नहीं बोलोगे आप. बट वही गवर्नमेंट ने सब्सिडी निकाल दी एंड चार्जेस स्टार्ट्स चार्जिंग हाई प्राइजेस, तो आप बोलोगे इफ आई एम गोइंग गिविंग द प्राइस देन आई वांट दिस एंड दिस फैसिलिटीज इन द ट्रेन. अंडरस्टैंडिंग? That is the difference between government acting as a service provider and government acting as a state. Police is not a service provider. You cannot question police. Revenue is not a service provider. Revenue department. Revenue department means collector and this thing. But government ka facility, for example, Indian Oil is a service provider. You question the quality of petrol over there. Fine? ये फर्क है. ये फर्क है 1990 से पहले. स्टेट एज अ गॉड ऑन द अर्थ. फाइन. इनविजिबल हैंड ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट यूज्ड टू रूल द अर्थ. 1990s के बाद मार्केट एज द गॉड ऑन द अर्थ. इनविजिबल हैंड ऑफ द मार्केट रूल्स द अर्थ. Understanding? When market is a god on the earth, you no longer, your relationship with the market changes. You are not a citizen of the market, you are a customer of the market. And when you are a customer, you expect some kind of the services to be given because you give fee. Understanding? For that. आप ये नहीं पूछ सकते पुलिस वाला मेरे एरिया में क्यों नहीं है, बट आप पूछ सकते हो लाइट क्यों नहीं है मेरे घर में, मैंने जब बिल भरा है. पर ये बोलोगे कि मैंने जब टैक्स भरा है तो इस मेरे एरिया में पुलिस वाला क्यों नहीं बैठता मेरे घर के बाहर, बिकॉज यू आर अ सिटीजन. या मिलिट्री क्यों नहीं है मेरे घर के बाहर. फाइन. यू कैन नॉट आस्क दैट, बट यू कैन आस्क व्हाई इलेक्ट्रिसिटी नहीं है मेरे इसमें. दैट इज अ डिफरेंस. नेक्स्ट इज पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप्स. फाइन. Infrastructure development through public-private partnerships. Public-private partnerships. Next stage, drive to maturity. Drive to maturity. It is a stage in which modern technology, is used to utilize most of the resources. The leading sectors which propelled the takeoff stage, maybe replaced by some new technological sectors. Next point. Understanding, जो पहले का लीडिंग सेक्टर था, मे बी कॉटन टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री, इट इज नाउ रिप्लेस्ड बाय द सॉफ्टवेयर इंडस्ट्री. Getting it? जो जिसने पहले ग्रोथ किया, इट इज नो लॉन्गर यूटिलाइज्ड. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. ड्यू टू टेक्नोलॉजी द लेबर force undergoes a major change. वर्किंग फोर्स पॉपुलेशन या लेबर पार्टिसिपेशन, लेबर पार्टिसिपेशन labor participation from agriculture in agriculture shifts from or changes from 75% to 20%. पहले कितना था एग्रीकल्चर में प्रोपोर्शन 75% के आसपास ट्रेडिशनल में, अब इसमें कितना है 20%. चेंजेस फ्रॉम 75% टू 20%. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, ड्यू टू स्किल डेवलपमेंट, there is increase in the wages, comma, change in the attitude of the workers, and better social security. The rate of investment continues to be more than 10% of GNP. Rate of investment continues to be more than 10% of GNP. Socio-political conditions. There is a major shift in the political system. Because political leadership becomes more professional, as well as accountable. हो रहा है इंडिया में कि नहीं? Political leadership is becoming professional and accountable. किसको accountable? आपको या RSS को? So it depends किसको accountable हो रहा है. Next point, the country has to decide whether the industrial power and technology is to be used for welfare of its own people or to gain international supremacy. Understanding Modi as a वेलफेयर लीडर ऑफ इंडिया या मोदी एज अ वर्ल्ड लीडर, यही अब कंफ्यूजन में है. दैट इज वाई वर्ल्ड लीडर. सो दैट इज वाई यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि वी कैनॉट क्लासीफाई इंडिया इन एनी वन स्टेज. जो होना चाहिए था इन ड्राइव टू मैच्योरिटी वो हो रहा है इन इंडिया इन द प्री कंडीशंस टू टेक ऑफ. Fine, because India में different sectors are at different regions. We can send Chandrayaan also, and यहाँ पे we cannot even remove pollution by artificial rainfall. ये confusion है India में. Understanding? Next. There is reduction in social inequality. Reduction in social inequality and increase in the standard of living. Social inequality and increase in the standard of living. याद रखना, in this stage comfort is given more prominence than anything. Fine. So थोड़ा थोड़ा हम मटेरियलिज्म की तरफ जा रहे हैं. एंड इफ यू वांट यू कैन ड्रॉ दिस. कौन सी कंट्रीज व्हेन दे बिकेम मैच्योर? ब्रिटेन इन 1850s, यूएस इन 1900, जर्मनी इन 1910 एंड रशिया इन 1950. हम बहुत पीछे हैं. It's 2019, we are still in the second or third stage. When they become mature. China is not yet in the mature stage. China is in the takeoff stage. Right? And the last, age of high mass consumption. Age of high mass consumption. This is the ultimate stage. This is the ultimate stage in the process of economic growth. Ultimate stage in the process of economic growth. Fine. देखो, 3 जनरेशन है. Grandfather, father and children, both 3 are there. Grandfather is this generation of the family जो है, this generation of the family was concerned about economic development. Stage 1, stage 2, yeah, stage 3 economic development. This generation of the family was concerned about उसका position in the society, इज्जत क्या है, etc. क्या है, drive to maturity. And age of mass consumption, पैसा भी है, सब कुछ है. They are concerned about arts, culture, music, understanding hobbies, whether there are parks or not. This is age of mass consumption. They are concerned about whether India का art is reviving or not. India का संगीत, भारतीय म्यूजिक को क्या हो रहा है, contemporary culture को क्या हो रहा है, M.F. हुसैन को क्या हो रहा है. This is the age of mass consumption. Understanding? This is the third stage. So if you become billionaire, your children are not going to worry about jobs कि IAS करे या business डाले, वो settle रहेगा. उनका problem होगा political thinking. अरे USA में क्यों इतना problem हो रहा है, इंडिया की गरीबी कैसे दूर किया जाए. Understanding? So they will open an NGO or they will go to Harvard. They will take some degree from there. Why? Because you can easily afford the fees. Harvard में there are 2 ways of going. Ranbir Kapoor also can study from there and a normal person also can study from there. Normal person on scholarship, Ranbir Kapoor on fees. So when then they will come back, they will open an NGO or they will open a civil society organization and they will then become very big, editorials लिखेंगे और फिर यहाँ पे वजह बवजह में हम लोग उनको बुलाएंगे. Fine. So ये है the third generation. Fine. So this is what is the third generation. So next, economic system. Economic system. It has the highest level of technological maturity. It has the highest level of technological maturity. And therefore has huge production capacity. Huge production capacity. There is a growth of service. There is a growth of service sector and tertiary and quinary sectors. Service sector, tertiary and quinary sectors. Quinary sectors means decision making. Fine. Quinary sector means decision making. Quaternary sector means research and development. Quinary sector means cloud computing, decision making, big data analysis, ये सब. We are not but decision makers, we are followers. डिसीजन कोई यूएस की कंपनी हमारे पास प्रोजेक्ट देती है, हम वो प्रोजेक्ट करते हैं और फिर उनको करते हैं. वी डोंट टेक डिसीजंस. इसीलिए उसको कहते हैं आउटसोर्सिंग. वी आर आउटसोर्सिंग, वी आर जस्ट सर्विस प्रोवाइडर्स टू द आउटसोर्स्ड. A project will come to India, will implement that technologically, yes, because of the huge amount of educated engineering class. Fine. Next point. The focus shifts from production to consumption. The focus shifts from production to consumption, and therefore materialism grows in the society. And therefore materialism grows in the society. Political system, socio-political system. There is a desire to develop. There is a desire to develop there is a desire to develop a welfare society. There is a desire to develop welfare society or egalitarian society. What do you mean by egalitarian society? Equal, classless, egalitarian society. Next point. The political leadership plays a limited role, mostly of facilitator rather than decision making. किसका रोल प्ले करेगा? फैसिलिटी प्रोवाइड करने का, फैसिलिटेटर. और अगर फैसिलिटेटर डिफिकल्ट लग रहा है तो मोस्टली ऑफ रेगुलेटर. रेगुलेटर, वो कोई प्लानिंग वो सब नहीं करेगा. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, द सोसाइटी इज कंफ्यूज्ड बिटवीन the society is confused between to become a military power, or to become a welfare oriented state, or to become a welfare oriented state. So whether democracy को maintain करना है या भूख ये सब करना है. USA is always confused. It is also a strong military power and it is also focusing on welfare issues. Understanding? And generally the country tries to determine its uniqueness. The country generally tries to determine its uniqueness. The first country कौन थी which went to the age of mass consumption is USA, not Great Britain. USA reached this state and Japan in Asia has reached this stage in 1950s. USA was the first and Japan has reached this stage in 1950s. Conclusion. Though not given by Rostow, many societies are in the sixth stage. Many societies are in the sixth stage. Known as beyond consumption. Which is characterized by very high materialism, comma, no issues such as economic security, and very high demand of consumer goods and services. Right? Beyond consumption means values नहीं है, so everything is decided by money. जो typical American society है, rich का, या जो Bollywood या Hollywood की lifestyle है, it is now beyond consumption level. Understanding? And इसमें obviously because you are based on so much high materialism, obviously you will be facing with the issues such as mental stress, depression, etc. Kurt Cobain, there was nothing to achieve, he did suicide. He have achieved everything by the age of 28. So और क्या जिंदा रहना है? He shot himself. Fine. So beyond consumption. You are now working so that you will have one certain kind of lifestyle. When you will reach that level, you will buy everything, you will want an higher lifestyle. अगर जो अर्थ में पैसे से बाय कर सकते वो सब कुछ आ गया, फिर आगे करोगे क्या? सिर्फ उसको खर्च करते रहोगे, तो ऑब्वियसली there are two ways, therefore they go in stress, फिर they enter into multiple relationships, फिर उनको और हाई के लिए the general hard work cannot give them high, they go into drugs. You get high after studying, you get high after success. अब जो अर्थ में जो अवेलेबल है सब कुछ है आपके पास आइलैंड है खुद के, प्लेन्स है खुद के, फाइन, कार्स और वो सब तो है ही नहीं, पैलेसेस है खुद के, फिर क्या? अंडरस्टैंडिंग? फिर तो यू विल गेट हाई ओनली इन ड्रग्स और इन पावर. सो सम पीपल गो इनटू ड्रग्स, एवरीथिंग, सम पीपल गो इनटू वेलफेयरिज्म, ये सब कुछ डोनेट कर देंगे, हेल्प करेंगे. फॉर एग्जांपल बिल गेट्स, मेलिंडा गेट्स, फाइन, अंबानी, सब कुछ है उसके पास. अंडरस्टैंडिंग? सो आईपीएल इज अ टाइम पास. आईपीएल में चलो वाइफ को कोई ये नहीं तो आईपीएल में, एचपीएल में, वॉट एवर दिस इज देयर, बियॉन्ड कंजम्पशन लेवल, दिस इज. So this is the theory. Easy? Norway, Switzerland में वो सब Prime Minister will wait in line if he wants to buy a coffee. No security, etc. That is beyond. He will go in cycle New Zealand में. Getting it? New Zealand की Prime Minister takes baby to this thing office. यहाँ पे प्राइम मिनिस्टर के बेबी को संभालने के लिए एक पूरा फोर्स होगा, बिकॉज दे हैव अचीव्ड एवरीथिंग. सो प्राइम मिनिस्टर के पास पावर है, मनी है, इवन द नॉर्मल सिटीजन हैव द सेम अमाउंट ऑफ मनी. अंडरस्टैंड? दैट इज बियॉन्ड कंजम्पशन. टोनी ब्लेयर को बोला गया था, ही सडनली वेंट एंड सेड आई एम इन हरी, give me a coffee. The waitress told, please sir, stand in queue. Tony Blair was a prime minister of UK. उसको बोला गया था, please stand in queue. So that is what is beyond consumption. कोई किसका? Bill Gates का. So we can understand Bill Gates also are businessman. Business से ज़्यादा important, money से ज़्यादा important power होता है, right? So तो प्राइम मिनिस्टर तो इज पावरफुल, उससे ज्यादा पावरफुल कोई नहीं है. नॉर्मल जॉब करता है, ब्रेटली टेलर का जॉब करता है, या फिर कभी कभी गिटार बजाता है कॉन्सर्ट्स में. राइट? सो ये है बियॉन्ड कंजम्पशन ऑस्ट्रेलिया से. So this is what is the beyond consumption ka society, right? So analysis of the Rostow's model. Then they land up in Haridwar, Rishikesh, searching for yoga because they have got everything. अब उनको सिर्फ mental peace चाहिए. They land in Haridwar and Rishikesh. Mental peace, you can say. We have, see, Chandni Chowk region, वहाँ पे जितने भी shopkeepers है, they earn a lot of money, fine, but their children वो करोड़ों का business छोड़ के they are coming to jobs, normal 20-30 हज़ार वाली job, because वो कहते हैं कि हमें आज भी लाला कहा जाता है, so उससे अच्छा we will go in suit, tie, etc. In our Pune center there is a person who is you can say watchman come, because वो center में ज़्यादा students नहीं, who is a watchman come receptionist plus everything, मतलब दो ही, एक center incharge है और एक जो साफ सफाई वो सब ये सब करता है. His salary is 16,000 rupees. He is localite from Pune, who has lot of property around Pune, and घर में कुछ करना नहीं है, बिकॉज वहाँ के फार्मर्स हैव कम टुगेदर, जो भी प्रॉपर्टी ओनर्स है, एंड दे हैव बिकम अ बिल्डर्स. सो वो कोई और देखता है. सो व्हाट ही डज, ही कम्स कि उसको इंस्टीट्यूट, चलो IAS का इंस्टीट्यूट है, सो ही विल गेट नॉलेज, सो ही कम्स, ही गेट्स द सैलरी ऑफ 16,000 रुपीज. सो वन डे ही कम्स बाय थार, अ जीप, अदर डे ही कम्स बाय अ जो टोयोटो की विच फॉर्च्यूनर, some days he comes by a car, fine. But वो क्यों जॉब कर रहा है? Because he is getting prestige, getting associated with UPSC का कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट. He tells कि see I am associated with educated people. ये है, right? उतनी कार तो शुभ्रा मैम के पास भी नहीं है जितनी उसके पास है, फाइन. बट उसकी सैलरी क्या है? 16,000 रुपीज. नीडी बच्चों को वही डिस्काउंट दे देता है, वही फी पे कर देता है उनकी. सो वी आल्सो से कि डिस्काउंट चाहिए, गो टू पुना सेंटर. Understanding the analysis. So what is the analysis? What do you think? It is a good or it is a bad model? Or what are the criticisms against this model? सबसे बड़ा criticism is इसका stages of development is just based on the Western notion of development. Development does not just mean कि आपके पास 10 मोबाइल हो. Consumer goods means what? Mobile, electronics, which you consume, fridge, etc. That is their meaning of development, and therefore it is more of a model of growth rather than the development, and वो भी Western model of development. Secondly, examples such as India have shown that linear progress possible नहीं है of a large countries like India. Understanding? Linear progress was always not possible. कि a country should pass through only one stages. In India, we have centers which have the centers of high mass consumption, जो urban centers है, जो rich regions है urban centers के. For example, the some parts of Mumbai or some parts of Delhi, South Bombay ले लो या South Delhi ले लो, these are the mass consumption वाले houses. Getting it? And उसी के साथ साथ उसी घरों के आसपास जो स्लम्स है, दे आर स्टिल इन द फर्स्ट स्टेज. सो ऐसा नहीं कि पूरी की पूरी सोसाइटी विल गो थ्रू द एंटायर मास कंजम्पशन. एंड thirdly the problem is this is if the conditions are not met, a country can slip down also. So Russia, which was in the age of mass consumption, has now slipped down, has now come down. But the good thing is it shows that if culture, discipline is brought in the culture, if the professional outlook is brought in the culture, if literacy is brought in the culture, then a country can progress on the economic terms. So उसने सबसे ज़्यादा focus किया on the discipline and literacy and education. And education लाते ही technological improvement. So it challenges the myths of superstition. जो it tells the people that if you remain superstitious, if you don't embrace the technology, then you will remain in the lower stage only. But if you take technology, if you get education, if you do skill development, you will go to the age of mass consumption. Understand? That is why Gunnar Myrdal says a man is poor because he is poor. Understanding? He is not able to take a technology or anything. It's all in the terms of attitude. ये capitalism का सबसे अच्छा बात है that everything is based on, if a poor person decides to change, he can change. If a rich person decides to become poor, he can become poor. Getting it? So we have a famous proverb that grandfather used to ride the camel. He worked very hard so that his son matlab father, can buy a scooter. Father worked very hard so that his son bought a Ferrari. And the Ferrari wale ka son comes back to camel because he already was riding a Ferrari and he did not think that it is necessary to work hard. So दादाजी ने पैसे जमा करके स्कूटर से फरारी, अब इसने इतने पैसे वेस्ट किए कि फिर से वो कैमल पे आ गया. ये अरेबियन प्रोवर्ब है. फाइन, टू शो दैट जनरेशंस you cannot keep on going away from the deviate from the hard work. You have to maintain the discipline. So इसीलिए ये भी कहता है country can come back from the age of mass consumption to a old society if they do not have a proper political system. Fine? Great Britain, 1850s में था drive to maturity, but which was the first country to go into the age of mass consumption? USA. Right? 1920s के आसपास, within 20 years, it went into the age of mass consumption, and it is still maintaining that. So, Japan is mass consumption. Japan की maturity is, just let me check, 1940. Drive to maturity, Japan की is 1940. 1950. Very fast movement. Japanese industrial revolution. वर्ल्ड वॉर इसलिए इंडस्ट्री को इम्पेटस मिला, इंडस्ट्री के कारण टेक्नोलॉजीज डेवलप हो गई, टेक्नोलॉजी के कारण जॉब्स क्रिएट हुए, एंड 1950 के एंड में जापान वेंट टू ड्राइव टू हाई मैच्योरिटी. Remember, world war has led to industrial growth always because there was more and more demand, technology, etc. इसीलिए तो 2013 में क्वेश्चन था जीएस में, राइट द यूनिक फीचर ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियल रिवोल्यूशन ऑफ जापान, क्योंकि जापान इज एन एशियन कंट्री, geographically it is disadvantageous. Thirdly, it does not have any raw materials. It does not have iron and steel, iron ore. It does not have coal, and still it is a industrial powerhouse. That is because of the ethics and the work culture of Japan. Natural disasters तो है ही, so work culture of Japan है. No matter स्कूल में झाड़ू सब कौन लगाता है, सर्वेंट्स नहीं वहाँ पे, स्कूल चिल्ड्रन will have to do that. That is the work culture of Japan.
So this was a big popular from FIFA also, because Japanese supporters are the best stadiums afterwards.
So discipline will bring the change. यही इस theory का कहना है. So we'll do some analysis of this theory only in some points. That is, what are the limitations of this theory? सबसे पहले, See, it tells ये ऐसे ऐसे होना चाहिए, but वो exact process नहीं बताता. किसी theory ने बताना भी नहीं चाहिए exact process, but हमें criticize करना है 250 words में अगर आता है तो हमें होना चाहिए. मतलब critics का कहना है कि it does not tell exactly the processes, how etc. the government should change, how the education system should change. Why will a theory tell about how the education system etc. will change? But the first criticism is कि इसका process of development is only Western mode led development. इसलिए Eurocentric approach. Quantitative revolution is Eurocentric. That's why. Understanding? So first is Rostow's model is based on American and European history. American and European history. And their notion of mass consumption. And their notion of mass consumption. But for the Asian countries, economic development is much less important, than happiness and satisfaction. Happiness and satisfaction. See, these societies are such at high mass consumption level. If the economy is falling, they are asking you to make babies. Denmark ho, Sweden ho, etc. They are asking people to make babies. मतलब as if giving birth to child is a mechanical process कि make babies. If you are above 18, if you are married, not married, कुछ नहीं, make babies. Why? State will take care. So that if you make babies, there will be more demand for consumer goods and industries will keep on working. Understanding? Bhutan will not come. Bhutan will come in the traditional society, but very happy. इसीलिए Bhutan is the model which criticizes this model. Bhutanese are very happy. According to this model, this is at the base. But Bhutanese don't want to change their lifestyle. They are happy in that. So इसलिए Asian societies, not Asian economies, Asian societies में more importance is to mental this thing. We are not that materialistic. Getting it? Second, this theory is historical. This theory is historical. In the sense that end result is known at the outset. End result is known as the known at the outset. End result is known as at the outset. End result is known at the outset. कि ऐसे करोगे तो ऐसे होगा, ऐसे करोगे तो ऐसे होगा. Why this is a limitation? Because always जो end result ये दिखाता है वो हमेशा वैसे होता नहीं है. Fine? There is not always that end result can be achieved. So we say therefore it is historical. Thirdly, it is mechanical. It is mechanical. Just like any other theory of positivism, it is mechanical. Where the change occurs in stages. In stages. Based on data from developed countries. Based on data from developed countries. But always growth and development. Growth and development cannot be too simplistic. Cannot be too simplistic. इसने बहुत सिंपल बताया, ऐसे करोगे तो ऐसे होगा. Cannot be too simplistic because cultural values, social conditions play an important role. Play an important role. Development depends on numerous factors. Development depends upon numerous factors such as, you can draw this diagram. Political stability, skills, both soft skills and technical skills. Technical skills. Social institutions. मतलब कैसा कल्चर है हमारा. एग्जाम्पल इंडियन कल्चर जो हम कहते हैं, दैट इज सोशल इंस्टीट्यूशन. इफ यू आर पावरफुल, यू कैन make the way out of anything. Fine. तो इसलिए गुनार मेडल ने कहा था, इन इंडिया शो मी द मैन, आई विल शो यू द रूल. शो मी द मैन, आई विल शो यू द रूल. रूल ऑफ लॉ क्या है? शो मी द क्राइम, आई विल शो यू द रूल. और शो मी समथिंग, आई विल शो यू व्हाट इज द लॉ. गुनार मेडल ने कहा था, इंडिया में शो मी द मैन, आई विल शो यू व्हाट द लॉ इज. राइट? इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन. एंड सिंगापुर का कैसा है सोशल इंस्टीट्यूशन? इफ यू आर अ नॉर्मल सिटीजन, आपको XYZ फाइन. इफ यू आर अ पब्लिक सर्वेंट, तो आपकी फाइन 3 टाइम्स ज़्यादा है एज कम्पेयर टू द नॉर्मल सिटीजन. क्यों? बिकॉज इन स्पाइट ऑफ बीइंग अ गवर्नमेंट सिस्टम सर्वेंट, यू ब्रेक द लॉ. ये उनके सोसाइटी में इम्बाइब्ड है. अंडरस्टैंडिंग? हमारे यहाँ पे इफ यू आर अ गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट, यू कैन शो द ID कार्ड एंड बिंदास ब्रेक द लॉ. वहाँ पे अपोजिट है. So the government servants themselves have to be the role models. ये social institutions. जो last stage में मनमोहन सिंह लेके आए थे, he had come out with the circular that the, जो बाद में मोदी जी ने, मेरे को मोदी के समय जी लगाना पड़ेगा, so मोदी जी ने, you can say, डर लगता है बाहर कोई कांच बीच फोड़ दे गाड़ी की, so he brought in, you can say, in that name, उसने उनको हाईलाइट किया, but it was brought by मनमोहन सिंह कि the minister should not travel in business class, officer should not travel in business class, you should not take huge workforce, you go in the second class in the train. Fine? जिसको हम कहते हैं, I am forgetting that word, जिसको खर्चा कम करने के लिए कहा था, probity in governance, जिसको हमने ये कहा था कि कम करो खर्चे फालतू के. This is what is there. नहीं तो you know that district collector 6 महीने रहता है, and many places in North India 6 months के लिए he stays, he is transferred and a new collector comes. Every time a new collector comes, he totally renovates the house, जिसका खर्चा goes to around 2.5 to 3 crores. Waste of public money. ये सब बंद किया था मनमोहन सिंह गवर्नमेंट ने लास्ट टाइम. एयर इंडिया की टिकट मिलती थी उनको, इंडिगो टिकट मिलती थी ऑफ economic class. पहले ministers used to go in business class only, and it was started by Sonia Gandhi, who started going in the economic class. So when the Sonia Gandhi started going in economic class, पूरा ministers भी उसमें जाने लग गए. अगर business class में जाना है तो खुद के पैसे से जाओ, because this is public money. So this is what is the role of social institutions. Getting it? Next. Infrastructure. And lastly, financial system या banking system. Banking system. Fine, ये है और ये सब change है. Everything except infrastructure in this is in the Rostov's model. सिर्फ Rostov model is talking only about this. बाकी ये सब नहीं है Rostov के model में. And you see, this all are very dynamic. They cannot be static. यही है static. Social institutions can change, banking system can change, cultural values can change, everything can change over the period of time. So, therefore, his model does not apply to Asian and African countries. Asian and African countries. As the above mentioned factors are not well developed. As the above mentioned factors are not well developed. Next point. In today's world, most of the countries exhibit economic dualism. Economic dualism. Economic dualism. What do you mean by economic dualism? It is not in any stage. There is age of mass consumption also, there is a age of traditional society also. This is economic dualism. Case study India. Case study India. India has vast agriculture and rural segment. India has vast agriculture and rural segments, that is traditional society, comma, powerful automobile sector, along with handicraft industry, and also a leading country in cutting edge technologies such as software industry, yeah, nuclear industry. Yeah, you can write artificial intelligence if you believe that India is, because ये geography के teachers को ज़्यादा पता नहीं होगा कि India leader है कि नहीं है, so लिख सकते हो artificial intelligence. So stage 5, right? So India, this is what is known as an economic dualism, right? So it is not proper to fit India in any one stage. Getting it? Next point. Rostow's model fits smaller countries such as Singapore, comma, homogeneous societies such as Europe and USA, or the countries rich in resources, including population, but it has nothing to offer countries such as Somalia, Rwanda, Bangladesh, which don't have such advantages. In the bracket याद रखना, it does not apply to LDCs. It can apply to the developing nations, but it will not apply to the least developing countries. Next point. His model is essentially a model of economic growth. But today, growth as an indicator of development, itself is controversial. Because of the concepts such as happiness index, developmental index, etc. Concepts such as happiness index, developmental index, happiness index, developmental index, etc. See, India is definitely in stage 2 or 3. It is better than Pakistan in the terms of fine growth and development, but happiness index के हिसाब से India is 140th position and Pakistan is 67th position. Right? Bhutan is 95th, Nepal is 100, Bangladesh 125, Sri Lanka 130. All are better than us. So, सिर्फ growth as a development नहीं. Fine? ये भी एक controversial है because जो highly developed nations है such as Denmark वो सब वही सबसे ज़्यादा happy है. Right? But हमें points वो उठाने जो हमारे answer को substantiate करें. What? And present day applications and positives, present day applications and positives. सबसे पहले it is a brilliant analysis. It is a brilliant analysis which specifies the requirements, for a country to grow into next stages, which specifies its requirements for a country to go into the next stages. Second, it allows the economists and politicians to identify sectors which can act as an engine of growth, Fine? So, देखो इकोनॉमिक्स में अभी तक हम पढ़ते हैं कि इंडिया हैज़ लॉस्ट अ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग रिवोल्यूशन एक्सेट्रा. रॉस तो कहता है कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. देयर कैन बी एनी वन इंजन ऑफ ग्रोथ. मेक योर सर्विस सेक्टर सो स्ट्रांग दैट योर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर इटसेल्फ विल ग्रो एट ड्यू टू द सर्विस सेक्टर. फाइन? दैट इज द गुड थिंग अबाउट रॉस्तो. सो रादर देन क्राइंग कि वी हैव लॉस्ट द अपॉर्चुनिटी टू बी अ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सुपर पावर, रॉस्तो कहेगा गुड, यू हैव लॉस्ट द अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सुपर पावर बिकॉज मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के साथ पोल्यूशन का प्रॉब्लम आता. राइट? सो सर्विस सेक्टर में ही बी द लीडर. गेटिंग इट? नेक्स्ट, he emphasizes that if country can be disciplined and non-corrupt, it can establish certain norms in the society. Which can trigger the growth. Next benefit, emphasizes the importance of industrialization, urbanization, and trade trade as a roadmap for development. Example, Singapore. जिसने रोस्तो के मॉडल का एक्सेप्ट किया था. When did Singapore got independence? 1965. When it got independence, it was highly poor nation. No doubt that it was small. इसलिए implement करना बहुत आसान था. That is, we have criticized. It is not applicable to the larger nations. But it took up industrialization and urbanization. It became 100% urbanized. Secondly, it focused on high-tech manufacturing industries. And today you see where Singapore is. Fine? So, case study Singapore. After independence in 1965, Singapore focused on high-tech industries. And urbanization along with education and housing. याद रखना, सिर्फ सिंगापुर ने एजुकेशन एंड हाउसिंग ये गवर्नमेंट के पास रखा. आज भी सिंगापुर में एजुकेशन एंड हाउसिंग इज विद गवर्नमेंट. बाकी सब प्राइवेट सेक्टर के लिए ओपन है. बिकॉज एजुकेशन, एंड इसीलिए सिंगापुर में एजुकेशन कैन बी अफोर्डेड, हाउसिंग कैन बी अफोर्डेड बिकॉज इट इज लाइज विद द गवर्नमेंट. हमारे जैसा नहीं कि हाउसिंग एंड एजुकेशन प्राइवेट सेक्टर को दे दिया एंड इंडस्ट्रीज गवर्नमेंट के पास रहेगी. उल्टा हो गया प्रायोरिटीज हमारी. ONGC should have been left out and education should have been developed. Which education? Not IITs, primary education. Primary education अगर develop होता, you would not have joined GS का coaching institutes. Fine? NCERTs इतनी strong होती है आपकी कि GS पढ़ने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ती. Getting it? And housing अगर develop होता तो इतना high inflation नहीं होता इंडिया में. जो कोर सेक्टर्स है वही किस पे फोकस किया? IIT IIMs. हाउ मेनी परसेंटेज ऑफ द पीपल गो इन IITs एंड IIMs? वेरी फ्यू. गेटिंग इट? सो प्रायोरिटीज गॉट रॉन्ग. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, it talks about the role of international trade, competitiveness in the trade, that will result into the takeoff stage. Full stop. Same point में also explains what are the conditions required to attract FDI? What are the conditions required to attract FDI, foreign direct investment, to the developing nations? And conclusion, despite many limitations, Rosto's model is widely used developmental theory because it gives valuable insights to business it gives valuable insights to business, comma, politics, yeah, political system, you cannot write politics, political system, and explains what processes and structural changes are required for growth and development. Fine. एक negative I forgot, very very important, that should be the first point. It is pro-capitalism. Fine. Everything is pro-capitalism here. It indirectly is the supporter of capitalism. John F. Kennedy का economic advisor था, तो what America wants? Capitalism. It promotes capitalism. Fine. I will not discuss this today, but मैं ये जो easy theories है, for example population growth की theories etc. मैं time waste नहीं करूँगा. I have already given you the handouts. I'll ask you to bring them tomorrow, and we'll finish all the theories in half an hour. Fine. And जानबूझ के ऐसे दिया है so that it becomes easy for you to understand rather than in points. I have given you in the form of mind maps. This applies to both paper 1 and paper 2. Fine. इसमें से only one model we will do properly is the demographic transition model. उसका application I have given you here, and the last page is on the social capital. What is the concept of social capital, who gave it, etc. You want to break or should I continue? So development theory एक limits to growth है. अब we are coming to the theory which are very small and interesting. इतना बड़ा नहीं है ये. And these are the theories of the development only, but these are the theories of regional development and planning. And we will do these theories in the form of Perox and Body-Wiley model. Fine. एक standard application. Before giving the break, I will tell you, for example, what you want happiness in the world. Happiness means you want to remove the social inequalities. So United Nations कहता है there is a United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, SDG, which should be achieved by 2030, right? To achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, all the countries including India takes a part here. Ab India starts planning process. To achieve this bigger goal of macro level planning, India will have to undergo micro level planning, means a smaller level planning. Understanding? So India to become a happy country or to achieve the sustainable development goal, or in simple words, to achieve regional development and planning, not regional inequalities. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि only western part of India is developed and central India is not developed. Fine? Yeah, only the southern India is developed and the rest of the country is not developed. Yeah, only Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai and the Kolkata are developed. So उसके लिए what should be done? उसके लिए there is one important theory which talks about the micro level planning. So this, we are going into the concepts now of micro level developmental theories, and micro level developmental theories, if you are coming to the urban geography, this is Kristall's central place theory, which we'll do tomorrow, toughest theory of all. And second, the easiest of all is regional development and planning ki theory, that is the Perrox and Baudiwille. Perrox and Baudiwille ka model, who is Perrox? Perrox was an economist. Who is Baudiwille? He is an economic geographer. So Perrox ka model was applied by Baudiwille in his concept of Perrox and the growth pole and the growth centers. Now understand the word growth pole. Understand the word pole. Pole is well distributed, yes, centralized. Centralized. Matlab, as per this theory, if this is an area, if this is an certain area, certain regions will have to become a growth pole. That means a centralized process. So that it will result into backwash effect. What is a backwash effect? यहाँ पे छोटे-छोटे centers है, fine, surrounding the growth pole. Or I'll take the growth pole here. This is a regional center. ये बन जाता है very big center which is known as a growth pole. So backwash effect means labor, skills, capital, people from this region will come and settle into this region, growth pole, and therefore this growth pole will develop, and as a result of this, a centralized power center, capital power, यहाँ पे political power की बात नहीं हो रही है, industrial power or capital power will start developing. This is what is known as a growth pole. Fine. Once the growth pole develops, there will be huge amount of disparity between this region and the surrounding region. Because of the disparity between this region and the surrounding region, more and more people will start coming to the growth pole, and the growth pole will develop. And after development, it will stagnate. यहाँ पे traffic jams होगा, यहाँ पे pollution problem होगा, यहाँ पे there will be urban problems, यहाँ पे there will be stress, and as a result of this, 5 से 6 साल के बाद या 10 साल के बाद, depends upon the economy, depends upon the country, the skilled people from here will start migrating backwards, and they will settle here, and this region will start developing. They may settle here, and this region will start developing. They may settle here, and this region will start developing. So as a result of this, after some time, you will see numerous growth centers coming up in the region, and this will achieve balanced economic growth. But for some time there will be negative backwash effect, that is centralizing tendency, but after some times there will be positive spread effect, matlab trickle down effect from this. The most widely used theory of developmental economics is Perrox and Baudiwille का concept, जो कहता है decentralization करो. Fine, it will come at a cost. Maybe it will be negative at the start, but in the long term, it will be very much positive. So Perrox and Baudiwille model is the most widely used model in the economics, especially in the developing nations, and therefore this region was taken for as a growth pole in India. Bhilai, Jamshedpur, Durgapur, Rourkela, etc. Okay. This is a very backward region, but is extremely rich in resources. So industrial location theory of Weber was used, and सबसे main था the growth pole and the growth center theory was used for development. And as a result of this, the idea was कि ये develop हो जाएगा. इतना डेवलप होगा कि this development will spread to this region, and this region will start developing, and this entire central India will develop, because development यहाँ पे ठीक ठाक है बाकी के region. It is this part of India which is not well developed, but unfortunately we failed. Unfortunately we failed, and that is why हमने सर्विस सेक्टर को अबेंडन कर दिया एंड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर को अबेंडन कर दिया, बिकॉज ये 20 साल के बाद वी रियलाइज कि ट्रिकल डाउन हो ही नहीं रहा है. फाइन. इट इज जस्ट कॉन्सेंट्रेटिंग. जमशेदपुर ही डेवलप हुआ, जमशेदपुर के आसपास कुछ नहीं डेवलप हुआ. फाइन. रांची भी इतना डेवलप नहीं है जितना जमशेदपुर इज डेवलप्ड. गेटिंग इट? सो या दुर्गापुर, भिलाई यही डेवलप हुए, बस उसका फायदा पूरे झारखंड को, मध्य प्रदेश को या छत्तीसगढ़ को हुआ नहीं. And therefore in India this growth pole model failed. In world at many places this growth pole model failed, and therefore from 1980s ये model is very rarely used in developmental economics. But फिर से 2000 में the growth pole model became very strong because Paul Krugman and Gunnar Medrell gave, with the help of growth pole model, cumulative causation model. Cumulative causation model, Gunnar Medrell says कि attitudinal change करना चाहिए, सिर्फ growth pole करके फायदा नहीं है. And Paul Krugman says कि yes, it will spread over the period of time, development will spread over the period of time. So again the focus was on creating the growth poles, and government started creating the growth poles. वैसे एक growth pole पहले ही था यहाँ पे, you have done in economics, Kandla, India's first or Asia's first export processing zone. What is this growth pole? Kandla serving as a growth pole. Fine. So I have gone through your map pointing. ये you have written about Kandla, right? Kandla में first point होना चाहिए था. Yes, she is written, what is written is right. It was a port which was developed due to we lost the Karachi port. Second point जो geography optional में होना चाहिए था, it is in Asia's first export processing zone, EPZ. Fine. And then we started making numerous such growth poles, thinking that it will trickle down, and these growth poles are given the name of SEZs. SEZs are nothing but growth poles. Fine? Yeah? Agro processing zones. Yeah? National manufacturing zones. National manufacturing and investment zones. फोकस क्या है अभी? नेशनल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एंड इन्वेस्टमेंट जोन. ये सब है ग्रोथ पोल. अंडरस्टैंडिंग? ट्रिकल डाउन होगा कि नहीं, ये डिपेंड्स अपॉन न्यूमरस फैक्टर्स. पेरॉक्स वाज नॉट रॉन्ग, बट हमने गलती की कि इस रीजन में ग्रोथ पोल किया, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली ब्रिटिशर्स हैड जॉइंड दिस विद द हेल्प ऑफ रेलवे लाइन टू मुंबई. सो इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट ऑफ जमशेदपुर and central India helped in the economic development of Mumbai. And Mumbai क्यों? Because Mumbai was nearer to the Suez Canal. उस समय Suez Canal भी open था. Understanding? So what happened? Capital from here went, and capital from here was reinvested in Mumbai, which helped in development of Mumbai. This policy would have been very successful if government had done उसका homework first, and the homework was to make this as a growth pole, make the people skilled in that region. People वहाँ पे ट्राइबल ही रखे और डायरेक्टली वहाँ पे आयरन एंड स्टील इंडस्ट्री लेके आए. They did not help in educating. सबसे पहले होना चाहिए था education of the people, literacy पे focus. And 5-6 साल बाद अगर ये लेके आते तो we would have been a more powerful country than China today. Why? Because इस समय चाइना में आयरन एंड स्टील इंडस्ट्री प्रॉपरली डेवलप नहीं थी. इंडिया को रशिया ने हेल्प किया, यूएस ने हेल्प किया, यूके ने हेल्प किया टू एस्टैब्लिश आयरन एंड स्टील इंडस्ट्री, बट इट फेल्ड मिजरेबली. इट डिड नॉट स्प्रेड एनीवेयर, एंड देयरफॉर जैसे ही लिबरलाइजेशन हुआ 80s में, न्यू इंडस्ट्रीज वेंट टू चाइना. नोबडी वांटेड टू कम टू इंडिया बिकॉज लेबर रिफॉर्म्स नहीं थे, बिकॉज ऑफ द स्किल्स नहीं थे इंडिया में, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ लॉज विच वर प्रॉब्लमेटिक. अंडरस्टैंडिंग? 1960s तक वी वर मोर स्ट्रॉन्गर कंट्री दैन चाइना. 1960s के बाद it is China which took up. China opened its market much earlier than us. Secondly, world was going through the phase of economic liberalization, privatization, globalization, and China properly invested in skill development, population control, social institutions में भी China ने invest किया, and इसमें भी किया. See, for example, day before yesterday's news only yesterday's news, China has made a law कि video games कितने देर खेलना चाहिए. 1 hour, and weekdays में 90 minutes, weekends में 90 minutes. No video game after 10 PM. Fine? ये law है video game. क्यों? क्योंकि concentration, बच्चों की पढ़ाई, बच्चों की आंखें या बड़ों की आंखें and output सब कुछ change खराब हो रहा है, इसलिए चाइना law लेके आया. Can you make such law in India? You cannot make such law. People will go to Supreme Court saying right to life, right? Freedom, justice, everything. But this is a very good law. So that is sometimes the benefit of not being in democracy, or that is a benefit of that is a loss of being an irresponsible democracy. Irresponsible democracy. For example, in the concept of liberty, John Locke says you have the freedom to move hand in any direction, but your freedom is curtailed अगर आपका हाथ मेरे नाक के पास या चेहरे के पास आता है. Right? You can move hand in any direction provided it does not touch my cheeks या nose, otherwise वो slap हो जाएगा. Getting it? So हम ये नहीं समझते, हम freedom सिर्फ हाथ घुमाने को समझते हैं. We don't respect it as the rights. It will hurt others. You have freedom to honk, you have freedom to, you can burst crackers, but at what cost? Fine? So this is the basic idea why it has failed. But this talks about decentralization, panchayati raj, and then economic development. So पहले है इसको develop करो, then trickle down effect. और इसलिए आप economics में पढ़ते हो, in India trickle down effect failed. Fine? Mahalanobis model failed. You will study today why it failed, the reasons of this. Fine? So we'll take break of 15 minutes and we'll bring this handout tomorrow.